Emmerdale is set to get intense next week as Cain Dingle faces major retaliation. In the coming episodes, Cain's world is likely to be rocked due to his involvement in car thefts. While he runs the local garages, the line between legitimate work and illegal dealings has become increasingly blurred, and conflict seems inevitable. Here's a sneak peek at what's coming on your favourite ITV drama. Number 1. Cain forms an unexpected partnership. After Cain and Sarah Sugden stole Joe Tate's vehicle, Joe seeks vengeance and assigns Graham Foster to handle it. This frustrates Kim Tate, who disapproves of Graham's attempts to patch things up with Joe. Back on the farm, Cain struggles with financial pressures and a secret cancer diagnosis, while Sarah is eager to keep stealing cars. But Cain hesitates. Meanwhile, Graham sneaks into the house to retrieve the DeLorean keys and discovers Cain's oncology letter, catching him off guard. Surprisingly, he easily overpowers the fatigued Cain. Graham later returns the car to Joe, who lies that reckless joyriders were responsible, making Kim suspicious. Graham then visits Cain again, revealing that he knows about the cancer and advising him to be honest with his wife, Moira Dingle, and to prioritize his health over feuding with the Tates. Kim witnesses a handshake between Cain and Graham and assumes they are secretly plotting together. The following day, Kim persuades Joe to test Graham's loyalty by suggesting he sabotage Cain's farm equipment. But will Graham go along with it? When Sarah realizes Cain is planning one last car heist, he forbids her from joining. But can he really stop his granddaughter from embracing the Dingle spirit? Number 2. A farm crisis triggers turmoil. Elsewhere in the village, a crisis unfolds as sheep become trapped in a barn brought down by a fallen tree. Cain, already battling a hidden prostate cancer diagnosis, struggles to coordinate a rescue. Unexpectedly, Graham shows up to help, and together they successfully save the flock. Later, Cain visits Moira in prison, but his relief is short-lived when he sees she has suffered a harsh black eye in a fight. Despite this, Moira reassures him that she is a fighter, and Cain's visit leaves her feeling hopeful once more. Number 3. Ray's funeral stirs old demons. Ray Walters' upcoming funeral leaves Dylan Penders wrestling with complex emotions over the late drug lord. Laurel Thomas feels guilty about letting Ray be buried without anyone present, so she asks Charles Anderson to attend on her behalf. Paddy Kirk, Mandy Dingle, and Dylan agree to keep the burial secret from Bear Wolf, fearing it could trigger his past trauma. Later, Laurel decides she wants to go along with Charles and Claudette Anderson. Spotting Bear across the street, Claudette inadvertently reveals the plan, and Bear insists on joining despite Laurel's objections. When Paddy discovers Bear's intentions, he panics, knowing that witnessing Ray's body could shatter him, and lashes out at Laurel for letting him attend. As Bear confronts Paddy in anger, it becomes painfully clear that he is unraveling, and the situation worsens when Manpreet refuses to prescribe the painkillers Bear desperately needs. Laurel later finds him drinking alone and tries to coax him into opening up, promising to support him. Meanwhile, Arthur Thomas struggles with the news that Laurel went to Ray's funeral. Despite her attempts to calm him, a tense confrontation ends with Arthur accidentally pushing Laurel down the stairs. With her in the hospital, will Arthur's secret come to light? Meanwhile, distressed and desperate for his sleeping pills, Bear injures his hand and goes to the hospital. Will he finally get the help he needs? Bored of Joe Tate? You're not alone. Here's how Emmerdale could fix it. Joe Tate is stirring more drama than necessary. Let's be honest, Joe Tate should be an iconic character in Emmerdale. Instead, he's become exhausting. Schemes, vendettas, blackmail, threats, rinse and repeat. What once felt sharp and dangerous now comes across as tired. Emmerdale risks turning one of its most legendary names into a shallow villain with no real depth. The clock is ticking. Either fully redeem him or lean all the way into his darker side. Right now, he's stuck in a dull middle ground. A fizzled return. Joe's comeback on Christmas Eve 2024 was supposed to spark fireworks, but it fell flat. Fans expected power plays, family clashes, and high-stakes drama, but the storyline has felt confused. First, he teamed up with the late Will Taylor to target Kim. When Will died, the plan vanished, and Joe and Kim suddenly pivoted to bonding, quietly shelving the vendetta. The whole arc ended up feeling pointless. Then came the kidney storyline. Instead of asking for help, Joe spiraled into deception, drugging Noah, causing the lake limo crash, and setting off a chain reaction that led to Layla, Amy, and Susie losing their lives. He even stabbed Caleb to secure the transplant. Meanwhile, viewers were left wondering why he didn't simply ask. Even his high-profile romance with Dawn Fletcher, meant to be passionate and sweeping, has struggled to convince. Its chemistry hasn't matched the scale of the story. More manipulation, less impact. Now, Joe is manipulating and intimidating his way toward control of Moira's farm. He contributed to sending her to prison, blackmailed Victoria and Robert over John's death to claim their share of butlers, and continues to circle the Dingle and Barton families at their most vulnerable. When his flashy DeLorean was stolen, he immediately focused on revenge against Cain. His chilling declaration that ruining Cain's life is now priority number one was intended to terrify, but instead, it felt predictable. How many times can we watch Joe threaten to destroy someone before it loses impact? Even Graham's loyalty feels uncertain, leaving the story lacking tension and surprise. Next week, Graham visits Cain's to recover the stolen car keys, but halts when he notices Cain's oncology letter. Suddenly, Graham switches sides, protecting Cain. He deceives Joe, claiming the car was taken by joyriders, and later advises Cain to focus on his cancer treatment and supporting Moira instead of continuing his feud with the Tates. It's a surprising turn, but it also underscores a problem. Joe now feels emotionally distant from the show's core, while other characters are developing depth, relationships, and unexpected alliances. So how can Emmerdale fix Joe Tate? Right now, Joe feels frustratingly one-dimensional. He's constantly scheming, manipulating, and threatening others, but rarely faces any real consequences for his actions. He survived being pushed out of a window by Dawn almost instantly, yet we barely saw the aftermath. He hasn't been held accountable for the tragic deaths caused by the lake limo crash, nor for the shocking theft of Caleb's kidney. His relentless blackmail and intimidation continue largely unchecked, making his storylines predictable rather than compelling. There have been glimpses of a more interesting, complex Joe. Over Christmas, he reflected on wanting to be more like his mother, Rachel Hughes, rather than following in the ruthless footsteps of his father, Chris Tate. His softer moments with Sam and even the Dingles hinted that there is depth beneath the schema, a side of him that could be sympathetic and even relatable if handled carefully. That is the Joe worth investing in. If Emmerdale wants to explore redemption, it must commit fully. Strip away the endless plotting, force him to confront the consequences of his choices, and make him experience real losses. Perhaps even send him to prison and rebuild his character from the ground up. If the goal is villainy, then lean into it completely. Make him the ultimate puppet master. Give him a dramatic endgame worthy of the Tate name. What cannot continue is this repetitive cycle of threats with no payoff. Emmerdale must decide, either give Joe depth or give him consequences. Right now, viewers' patience is running dangerously thin. Emmerdale airs weeknights on ITV at 8 p.m, with early access on ITVX at 7 a.m.